Hi, I'm Michelle, and today we're diving into a classic episode of the Twilight Zone. One that, intentionally or not, perfectly captures the experience of being an undiagnosed autistic person in a world that just doesn't get you. I'm talking about Miniature, the 1963 episode starring Robert Duvall as Charley Parkes. If you've ever felt like you don't fit in, like people see you as wrong, just because you experience the world differently, then this one's going to hit home. So let's meet Charley. He's quiet, socially awkward, and has trouble connecting with people. At the start of the episode, we see that he's not just different, he's treated as wrong. His mother infantilizes him, his boss fires him for being too withdrawn, and his family sees his behavior as a problem that needs fixing. Sound familiar?
Fact is that I'm letting you go because you just don't fit in.
At one point, his sister literally says, "He's not normal, mother, and you know it." That's the kind of phrase that so many autistic people hear growing up, whether it's about their social skills, their interests, or just the way they exist in the world. He visits a museum and becomes obsessed with a miniature dollhouse, specifically a tiny woman who lives inside of it. Unlike the real world, where he's constantly being told to change, the dollhouse is a safe, quiet place where he feels at home. And here's the thing, when autistic people find a special interest, it's not just a hobby. It's a comfort, connection, and sometimes even survival. But of course, neurotypical people don't see it that way. Instead, Charley's obsession is seen as further proof that he's sick. His family calls a psychiatrist, and suddenly the one thing that makes him happy is seen as dangerous. There's a heartbreaking line from Charley's brother when he says, he spends all his time looking into that thing. A grown man. There's something wrong with him. This is how society often treats autistic people. And if we're interested in something that isn't age appropriate or socially conventional, we're treated as defective instead of just different. Now, I take this one personally as a 45-year-old woman who loves Monster High dolls. One of the saddest parts of this episode is how nobody even tries to understand Charley. He's not hurting anyone, and he's not dangerous. He's just found something that brings him peace. But because it doesn't fit society's definition of normal, they lock him in a psychiatric hospital.
Why can't you keep a job, son? Why do you always end up making everyone feel uncomfortable around you?
I don't know.
The assumption is that if someone isn't functioning the way you expect, then they must be broken. But really, Charley just experiences the world differently. And this is so relatable for autistic people. We're constantly being told that our way of being isn't valid, just because it doesn't match what neurotypicals consider right. Now, let's talk about the ending. Warning, there's some spoilers ahead. Charley escapes the hospital and goes back to the museum, and somehow disappears into the dollhouse. The final shot shows the tiny woman now joined by a tiny Charley, happily living in a world that finally makes sense to him. Rob Serling's closing narration sums it up best. They never found Charley Parkes because the guard didn't know where to look. He was there, in the dollhouse, in the place he found a home. This is such a powerful metaphor for the autistic experience. When the real world refuses to accept us, sometimes we have to create our own space and our own version of happiness. It's not about running away. It's about finally belonging somewhere. So what do you think? Does Miniature feel like an autism story to you? Because to me, Charley is basically the poster child for undiagnosed autism, especially in a time when autism wasn't even widely understood. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever related to a character like Charley? And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss a video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.